Hello, my name is Rachel, and I'm here to tell you about a few exciting new releases that came out today, September 6th, 2016. So let's jump off with an author that most of you are familiar with, which is Gail Forman. Her new book out today is called Leave Me, and I believe this is an adult contemporary novel, unlike some of her other works which are more geared towards teens. And this one follows the story of a woman who is really just so wrapped up in her role as wife and mother and being busy and kind of dependent on that she doesn't even realize that she's having a heart attack. And in her recovery, she realizes that it seems that her recovery time itself is kind of in the way of her family. She's kind of an inconvenience to them. So she decides to pack up and leave and see what life has for her outside of the household. And I'm wondering if we get kind of a different perspective from her than on her life once she steps away from it. And really, it seems like this is just about a woman trying to figure out how to proceed with her life in a way that makes herself matter as well. Not just her family, but, really includes herself being happy as well. So this sounds like not necessarily a sad book, but not necessarily an uplifting one either. But I'm intrigued because it is Gail Forman, so we'll definitely be checking this one out. Next up is one that I'm not super familiar with, but I saw it and I think my students at school will love this book, so I'm definitely going to look more into it. Because I'm hoping to add it to our library collection, and this is called The Most Frightening Story Ever Told by Philip Kerr. And on Goodreads it says, Roald Dahl meets R.L. Stine in the spine-tingling and hilarious tale from a best-selling author. So that immediately piqued my interest, and I think this is about a boy who's kind of a loner. He reads in the library most of the time for fun, and he joins this challenge where he attends a haunted house of books, and he has to spend the whole night in there, and it's kind of this creepy atmosphere with creepy people, and then even creepier stories in these books. And I guess he's trying to make it through the evening without leaving or being creeped out or something. I'm not exactly sure, but it sounds like something that my students would love. They're always looking for something that's scary, but not really scary. They think they want super scary, but you know what they mean when they ask for scary. So I think this is interesting. I'm definitely going to look into this one, and I anticipate adding it to my library collection. Next up, nerd alert ahead, because this one, I have to tell you, I used to be a math teacher before I became a librarian, so I'm kind of at peak nerdiness, but I'm alright with that. And this definitely, I think, shows you how nerdy I am. It's combining the best of both worlds. It's some math and a book. I mean, what more could you want? It's called Weapons of Math Destruction, How Big Data Increases Inequality and Threatens Democracy by Kathy O'Neill. And what really caught me, of course, was the yellow cover at first, and then I read this description, the big tagline from Goodreads. It says, a former Wall Street quant sounds an alarm on mathematical modeling, a pervasive new force in society that threatens to undermine democracy and widen inequality. That just sounds awesome. I love when you can relate math to real life data and real life problems, and I think this is going to be a really neat read. I don't think this is going to be for everyone. This is obviously a nonfiction book, but I do think it's going to focus a lot on things that people can relate to. I don't think it's going to be straight up math equations. So if you're interested in politics or possibly economics, this could be for you. Or if you're just super nerdy like I am. Next up is a young adult novel that I've been hearing really good things about. It's called And the Trees Crept In by Don Kurtagich, I think. And this seems like a young adult thriller horror scary book. I don't know how else to describe it. It's supposed to be pretty creepy, and it kind of sounds like it's going to be. The part that got me, basically the backstory here is that these two girls arrived to live in their aunt's blood manor, they keep calling it. So that's already why is it a blood manor? I'm not sure about this. It seems cursed, and there's creaking and sounds, and they're seeing things, and everything's starting to get creepy. And it says some questions they can't ignore. Who is the beautiful boy that's appeared from the woods? Who's the man that her little sister sees but no one else does? And why does it seem that ever since they arrived, the trees have been creeping closer? That literally just gave me goosebumps. That's gotta be creepy. And I think this is probably aimed at a more mature teen, because it is young adult, but I'm thinking more like high school level, and I think they would really enjoy something like this. Again, they like the scary stuff, but they tend to like it more in the fiction, where, you know, it can be kind of departmentalized in their mind and it doesn't freak them out too much. So I'm excited. I think this will be pretty good. Again, I just think that's so creepy. The trees creeping in on you is, whew, that's terrifying. Next up is another nonfiction book, and I am super excited for this one. I've been seeing a lot of hype for it, and it sounds amazing. It's called Best State Ever. A Florida Man Defends His Homeland by Dave Barry. And basically, this is a man who is tired of hearing people ask, what the hell is wrong with Florida? So he decides to start all the way at the bottom at Key West and work his way up and tell you about all the amazing factoids and history and some stories about Florida that are going to convince you it is the best state ever. And again, I think this is going to be really funny. I think it is kind of, you know, a little bit in earnest of why Florida is better than what a lot of the rest of the U.S. gives it credit for. But I also think it is going to be very funny and kind of poking fun at itself, that acknowledging that Florida does have some weird stories. But I'm from Ohio, and I feel like a lot of weird stuff goes down in Ohio as well, so I'm with you, Florida. I feel you. So I think this is going to be a really fun, easy read. I feel like this, I would prefer to read this, though, while I was vacationing in Florida. So I wish this came out a little bit earlier, but I'm still going to check it out. I think it's going to be great. Next up is another young adult novel that I'm very excited to look into a little bit more, possibly for purchasing in my library. And this is called Wirewalker by Mary Lou Hall. And this follows a boy in a rough neighborhood. I think his mother was killed by like a stray bullet in the neighborhood, and his dad has kind of just not been able to take care of the family, so it kind of falls on him. And I think it comes down to him deciding, does he go into like the drugs and gangs of not so great people to hang out with, or does he try to steer clear of that and be a good person? And I think it's just that inner turmoil of, does he submit to kind of the status quo around him, maybe in this neighborhood, or does he stand up and try to be a good person? And how do you do that when you're surrounded by a lot of negativity and a lot of pressure? I know that there is a dog somewhere involved in this story that this boy attaches to, and my kids love any book that has a dog in it. So just with that by itself, I feel like I could sell it to the kids. But I think this is a really important read for young readers who are trying to find themselves, and this could be dealing with like inner city and like definite struggles, which I'm not from an inner city, so my students may not relate to that per se, but in a wider sense, it still relates to like peer pressure and really coming into your own person and making your own decisions, making good decisions. So I think this is going to be a great book for young adult readers. Last up is one I am super excited for. It's called Irreversible by Chris Lynch. This is the sequel or follow-up book to Inexcusable, which follows a very interesting perspective in a rape situation. In the first book, called Inexcusable, it follows a boy who sexually assaults a girl, but it's like his thought process of not accepting what he's done. Like, he is convincing you, the reader, throughout the whole book that he did not do anything wrong. And you're also seeing what he's doing, so you know what he is doing is wrong. So it's very interesting. Like, I felt like I hated that book, but I think it was the point of view. That character is what you can't stand. You're so frustrated at the end of this book, and that's how you know it was an amazing book, because you're so angry at the end of it. And this one, he continues to try to struggle with what he's done and convincing people that he's the good guy that he knows he is. And he's gone away to college, and now he's got some other things coming up, as well as still dealing with his past. And I'm excited to see where this goes. Again, I get so frustrated with this guy, so you know it's good writing. And I think this is so important right now, with several things that have been happening in the news lately. I think this is just such an important read for everyone, but these are specifically geared towards young adult. And again, I can't wait to continue to read this and see how this saga plays out. I'm going to be really interested to see if there are more in this series as well, if it becomes a series or if it's just a duology, and if it starts to mirror, again, the things that we've seen in the news. So I'm interested, and I would definitely recommend checking out Inexcusable. It's a very frustrating read, but it's an important read, and you can tell that Chris Lynch has done an amazing job because of the feelings you have at the end of the book. So those are my picks for today. Some of my top favorite new releases coming out on today, September 6th, 2016. And I would like to go ahead and apologize to you for the increasingly bad lighting. As you can tell, the sun has been setting through this whole video, and I've just gotten so wrapped up in the books that I basically only have this one little light on. So I apologize that I'm basically broadcasting to you from the dark in my house here, but thank you so much for sticking with me nonetheless, and I hope you found some good reads in this video. If you did, let me know down below. If you have any new exciting releases you'd like to share, feel free to link those down below as well. You can reach me at pretty much all social media under Rachel Fryman. And that is all I have for you today. So thank you again for sticking with me as the sun has continued to go down. I hope you had a wonderful day, and don't spend all your money at the bookstore today. I'll see you again soon with another video. Bye for now. Hello, my name is Rachel, and I'm here to tell you about the books that I managed to read in August and a few hopefuls for September. So first up in August, I read several Casey West books.